Most drivers think filling their tires is harmless. Pull up, add air, drive away. But there is one common air mistake that silently damages your tires, confuses your car's safety systems, and can even cause sudden failures at highway speed. I have seen cars come in with blown tires, warped brakes, and ruined suspension, all traced back to this single habit. Today, I will show you exactly what it is and how to fix it before it costs you thousands. The morning it finally clicked for me was cold, gray, and busy in the shop. On the calendar, it was midwinter, and the bays were already full before the sun came up. Tires crackled differently in cold weather, engines idle a little rougher, and you can smell rubber in the air before you even see the cars. That's when a silver SUV rolled in on a flatbed, hazard lights still blinking, like it was confused about how things went so wrong so fast. The driver stepped out shaking his head, not angry, just stunned. He told us he had just put air in the tires yesterday. They were low. The warning light was on. He had done exactly what the sticker said. That sentence is the reason this problem is so dangerous. Because most people who destroy their tires, suspension, or even their brakes with this mistake are doing what they believe is correct. No warning lights, no loud bang, no dramatic failure in the moment. Just a slow, silent chain reaction that starts at the air pump and ends with thousands of dollars in damage. Your car doesn't explode, it deteriorates. And it all starts with one tire air mistake that almost every driver makes. I've seen this pattern more times than I can count. A driver pulls into a gas station after work, the tires still warm from highway speeds. The TPMS light is glowing, so they hook up the air hose, punch in a number, hear a few beeps, and drive away feeling responsible. Problem solved. Except it isn't. Because what most drivers don't realize is that tires don't tell the truth when they are hot. Air expands with heat. That's basic physics. When you drive, even for 10 or 15 minutes, the air inside your tires heats up, expands, and raises the pressure. So when you check and adjust your tires right after driving, you are not filling them to the correct pressure. You are filling them to a false number. And when those tires cool down later, the pressure drops far below where it should be. The SUV in my bay had been driven like that for weeks. Slightly underinflated, day after day, mile after mile. The owner never felt anything dramatic. The steering still worked. The brakes still stopped the car. But inside the tires, the sidewalls were flexing far more than they were designed to. Heat was building. Rubber was weakening. Belts were separating internally. By the time one tire finally failed, the damage was already done. But the tire was not the only casualty. Underinflated tires change everything about how a car behaves. Rolling resistance goes up, so the engine has to work harder just to maintain speed. That extra load strains the transmission. Braking distances increase because the tire's contact patch deforms unpredictably. The suspension absorbs impacts it was never meant to handle. Even the ABS and stability control systems start making incorrect decisions because they rely on accurate tire behavior to function properly. This is how a simple air fill mistake quietly destroys a car. The worst part? The driver did nothing reckless. No speeding, no curb hits, no neglect. Just one habit everyone thinks is harmless. I popped the damaged tire off the wheel, and the inside told the real story. The outer tread still looked fine, but the inner sidewall was cooked, darkened, brittle, scarred with heat damage you would never see from the outside. The TPMS sensor inside was cracked from the constant flexing. The wheel itself had stress marks where it had been riding lower than designed, all because the tire pressure was wrong in the real world, even though it looked right on a screen. And this is not rare. According to tire engineers, running just 5 psi below spec can raise internal tire temperatures by more than 10 degrees Celsius at highway speeds. That heat accelerates wear by up to 25% and dramatically increases the risk of sudden failure. Not a slow leak, a blowout. Most drivers never connect the dots because the consequences lag behind the mistake. You fill air today, the damage happens weeks later. By then, the air pump is long forgotten. Standing there, the driver looked at me and asked, "So what should I have done differently?" That's the question every driver should be asking. Because this mistake doesn't just ruin tires. It wastes fuel. It stresses steering components. It shortens suspension life. It compromises braking performance. And in the worst cases, it puts you and everyone around you at risk without a single warning sign. And here is the truth most people never hear. The number on your door sticker is only correct under very specific conditions. If you don't understand those conditions, you are guessing every time you fill air. That's where this story gets important. Because in the next part, I am going to show you exactly why this mistake happens, how professionals avoid it, and the simple method that takes 2 extra minutes but prevents thousands of dollars in damage. Once you understand what your tires are actually telling you, you will never fill them the same way again. And if you have ever topped off air at a gas station and driven away without thinking twice, you need to see what comes next. Most drivers think tire pressure is simple. A number on the door sticker, a hose at the gas station. Fill it until it beeps and move on with your life. But once you understand what actually happens inside a tire when air goes in, you realize why this simple task destroys suspension, eats tires, ruins fuel economy, and in extreme cases, causes sudden failures at highway speed. Let us pull the curtain back. A tire is not just a rubber balloon. It is a layered structure made of steel belts, fabric plies, rubber compounds, and adhesives, all engineered to work within a very narrow temperature and pressure window. Every time you drive, that structure flexes thousands of times per mile. That flex creates heat. Heat changes pressure. Pressure changes how the tire contacts the road. That balance is everything. Here is where the mistake begins. Most people fill their tires immediately after driving. You pull into a station after 20 minutes on the road, hop out, check the pressure, see it is low, and add air until it hits the number on the pump. It feels responsible. It feels correct. But it is the worst possible moment to do it. When you drive, friction heats the tire from the inside. The air inside expands as it gets hotter. That means the pressure you are reading is artificially high. So when you correct it to the recommended pounds per square inch while the tire is hot, you are actually setting yourself up for underinflation once the tire cools down. That underinflation does not announce itself. The car still drives fine. The steering still feels normal, but inside the tire, the sidewalls are flexing far more than they should. That flex generates even more heat. Heat weakens rubber. Rubber begins to fatigue. The steel belts expand at a different rate than the rubber surrounding them. Microscopic separations form between layers. This is how blowouts are born, not from a nail, not from a pothole, but from heat damage that started weeks or months earlier because the tire was consistently a few psi low without you knowing it. According to tire engineers, just 5 psi of underinflation can raise internal tire temperatures by over 10 degrees Celsius at highway speed. That does not just shorten tire life, it compromises structural integrity. And once that integrity is gone, failure is not gradual, it is sudden. Now let's talk about the second half of the problem, the equipment you trust. Gas station air pumps are convenient, but they are rarely accurate. Most are used hundreds of times a week. They are exposed to weather, vibration, abuse, and almost never calibrated. Studies have shown many public pumps are off by anywhere from 2 to 6 psi, sometimes more. That means you might think you are at 35 psi when you are actually at 29 psi or at 41 psi. Actually being that far off matters. Both are bad, just in different ways. Underinflated tires flex too much, overheat, and wear the outer edges. Overinflated tires reduce the contact patch, hurt braking, and wear the center of the tread. Both increase stopping distance. Both reduce stability. Both confuse traction control and ABS systems that rely on accurate tire behavior to work properly. Modern cars are especially sensitive to this because stability control systems assume your tires are within spec. When they are not, the computer makes decisions based on false assumptions. That is when you get weird braking behavior, unpredictable traction intervention, or sudden loss of grip in emergency maneuvers. Then there is the load factor most people never consider. The pressure listed on your door jamb is calculated for a specific load condition. Usually a driver, maybe one passenger, and light cargo. Add 3 adults, luggage, groceries, or towing weight, and the physics change instantly. The tire sidewalls are carrying more load, flexing more, and building heat faster. Professionals adjust tire pressure based on load. Everyday drivers almost never do. The result is tires that are technically within spec, but operating outside their safe envelope. And finally, there is the quiet killer almost nobody talks about, valve components. That tiny valve core inside the stem is the only thing keeping air inside your tire. Heat cycles, dirt, moisture, and corrosion slowly degrade it. A slightly loose or dirty valve core can leak air so slowly you never notice. You top off the tire. A week later, it is low again. You assume it is normal. It is not. That slow leak keeps the tire in a constant state of underinflation, the most dangerous state of all. Every one of these issues feeds into the same outcome: excess heat, excess wear, and unpredictable failure. And the worst part? Your car will not warn you until it is too late. The tire pressure monitoring system light usually triggers when pressure drops well below optimal. By the time you see the warning, damage may already be happening. That is why this mistake is so dangerous. It hides behind normal behavior. It feels routine. It feels harmless. But now that you understand what is really happening inside the tire, it is time for the part that actually matters. How professionals avoid this entirely, how to fix it in minutes, and how one simple routine can protect your tires, suspension, brakes, and fuel economy at the same time. That is coming next. The fix is where everything finally comes together, because once you understand how sensitive tires really are, you realize this mistake is not just about air, it is about heat, pressure, and time quietly working against you. Tires do not fail instantly. They weaken. They cook from the inside. They lose structural integrity 1 mile at a time until, one day, without warning, something gives. The most dangerous part of this tire air mistake is that it feels responsible. You pull into a gas station, check your pressure, add air, and drive away confident you have done the right thing. But if you filled your tires while they were hot, trusted a bad gauge, or rushed the fill, you may have locked in a pressure that is completely wrong once the tires cool. That incorrect pressure changes how the tire flexes. Flex is everything. When a tire is underinflated, the sidewalls bend excessively with every rotation. That flex creates heat. Heat breaks down rubber compounds. Steel belts expand. Adhesives soften. Over time, the tire literally separates internally. When a tire is overinflated, the opposite happens. The center of the tread takes all the load, the contact patch shrinks, and impact forces spike. Every pothole, expansion joint, or hard brake sends shock waves straight through the tire into suspension components, wheel bearings, and brakes. This is how a simple air mistake starts destroying parts you would never connect to tires. Overinflated tires increase braking distances and trigger the anti-lock braking system earlier than intended. Underinflated tires overload wheel bearings and overwork the steering rack. Uneven pressure from front to rear throws off stability control calibration. And when pressure is wrong long enough, the tire fails, not with a slow leak, but with a violent blowout at highway speed. The fix is surprisingly calm and methodical, and that is what makes it so effective. First, always start cold. That means checking tire pressure before driving or after the car has been parked for at least 3 hours. Cold tires are the only state where pressure readings mean anything. Next, ignore the sidewall and go straight to the driver door jamb. That sticker is gospel. It is engineered for your car's weight distribution, suspension geometry, braking system, and tire size. Set front and rear pressures exactly as listed. Now slow the process down. Add air in short bursts, 2 to 3 seconds at a time. Let the pressure stabilize before adding more. Tires do not fill evenly, and rushing traps uneven heat pockets inside the carcass. Once you hit your target pounds per square inch, wait 30 seconds and recheck. You will be shocked how often it drops a full pound once the air settles. Before you move on, take 10 extra seconds to inspect the valve stem. Make sure the core is snug. Replace missing caps. That tiny cap is not decoration. It is the last seal protecting your tire from moisture, dirt, and corrosion. Then reset your tire pressure monitoring system if your car requires it. If you do not, your warning system will be inaccurate, and the next real pressure loss may go completely unnoticed. There is one more step most drivers never take, and it is the difference between tires that last and tires that fail early. Adjust for reality. If you are loading passengers, luggage, or towing, add 2 to 4 pounds per square inch as recommended by tire engineers. If temperatures swing dramatically, recheck pressure. Tires gain or lose about 1 pound per square inch for every 10 degrees of temperature change. Ignoring that is how perfectly inflated tires become dangerously low overnight. When you do this right, the payoff is immediate. Steering feels tighter, the car tracks straighter, braking feels more confident, road noise drops, tire wear evens out, fuel economy improves, and most importantly, the tire stops cooking itself from the inside out. This is why professionals are obsessive about tire pressure. Not because it is routine, but because it is foundational. Tires support every system on your car. ABS, traction control, suspension geometry, braking distances, even crash safety all depend on 4 patches of rubber the size of your hands. One careless air habit can undo millions of dollars of engineering. If you have ever wondered why tires fail early, why cars feel unstable at speed, or why fuel economy slowly slips for no obvious reason, this is often the answer. Not the engine, not the brakes, not the alignment, just air handled the wrong way. From now on, treat tire pressure like what it really is, a safety system. Because when you fill it correctly, your car protects you. When you do not, it quietly turns against you. If this changed the way you think about tires, hit like so more drivers see it. Subscribe if you want to avoid the mistakes that cost people thousands every year. And tell me in the comments, when was the last time you checked your tire pressure cold?